Calling the attack unprovoked and unjustified, a judge ordered 17-year-old Davion Pryor detained after the teen was charged with shooting his mother to death in front of his dad and little brother. Relatives of the teen leave court this afternoon without comment, moments after 17-year-old Davion Pryor is ordered to remain behind bars for the tragic slaying. In court, an emotional Cook County Judge David Kelly said, "This is very sad and tragic to this court. The unprovoked shooting and killing of your mother in front of your father and brother." The teen has been charged as an adult with first-degree murder in connection with the slaying. Investigators say the violence erupted. That's when Davion's father and mother, 43-year-old Tatanisha Jackson, returned home to the family's apartment near 68th and Cornell with the teen's 7-year-old brother, who they just picked up from school. During the hearing, authorities say before the family arrived home, the teen called his mother to talk to her about someone drinking alcohol on the back porch. The teen's father and brother, who witnessed the attack, told police it was as Tatanisha unlocked the home's front door, the teen opened the door and then pointed a gun at his mother and opened fire at nearly point-blank range. The victim was shot in the head 4 times. Prosecutors say the father picked up his younger son and ran to safety, where he called 911. They say that they then heard 5 more shots from inside the apartment. Investigators say the teen then ran out the apartment's back door. He was captured on security cameras along Stony Island Avenue, and his cell phone pinged in the area. Police recovered a 9mm weapon used in the attack, along with 12 bullet casings. An attorney for the teen says he was in a GED program and had a part-time job. Davion Pryor turned himself in to officers at the 3rd District Police Station. Authorities say at the time of the murder, Pryor was already on home confinement after being charged as a juvenile with aggravated battery and after being found guilty of a carjacking in July. A judge also ordered a mental evaluation for the teen, who is due back in court next week.
People on this block had heard fireworks before, but this was different. 8 shots, then a pause, then 6 more. Neighbors stepped outside, trying to understand what they just heard. Some looked down the street. Others looked at each other like, "Hold on now, what was that?" Within minutes, police cars were racing down South Cornell Avenue in Chicago's South Shore neighborhood because a mother had just been shot in her own doorway, and the person police were looking for wasn't a stranger. It was her own son. Make it make sense. South Shore sits on the south side of Chicago along the lakefront. It's one of those neighborhoods where families stay for years, sometimes generations. People know each other's routines. You recognize who sits on which porch. You notice who walks their dog at the same time every evening. Life there moves in a rhythm people understand. On the 6,800 block of South Cornell Avenue, neighbors say Tatanisha Jackson was part of that rhythm. She was a kind of a short lady. She used to be on the back on her phone all the time. Neighbors remember seeing her sitting on the back porch often, talking on the phone, enjoying the day, just living her life. Nothing flashy, nothing dramatic, just normal. And sometimes that normal is exactly what makes a neighborhood feel like home. Tatanisha Jackson was 43 years old. She had been married to her husband Dave for more than 2 decades, 21 years together. That kind of time means something. People who knew them say they were the type of couple whose names got mentioned together. Dave and Tatanisha, always the 2 of them. They were raising a family, 3 sons and a stepdaughter, a full household, the kind where there's always movement, always something going on. Friends and relatives say Tatanisha had a personality that filled a room. She laughed easily. She joked with people. If there was a gathering, she brought the energy with her. But there was something else people remembered about her. Whenever she left someone's company, she always said the same thing. "I love you." Every time. Before walking out the door, before ending a conversation. Just a simple reminder to the people around her. Now let me tell you something. People remember things like that. After someone is gone, those little habits stay with you. Tatanisha had also recently accomplished something that meant a lot to her. She became a registered nurse. That didn't happen overnight. She studied while raising children, while managing work, while holding together the everyday responsibilities that come with family life. It took years of determination to get there, but she did it. Friends say she was proud of that achievement. Not in a bragging way, just proud that the effort paid off. That was the life Tatanisha Jackson had built. A husband she loved, children who depended on her, a career she had worked hard to earn, and a neighborhood where people recognized her face. Then came Thursday, September 19th, 2024, a regular afternoon. Nothing unusual about it. Tatanisha and Dave had just picked up their youngest son from school. He was 7 years old. They drove back toward home like they had done countless times before. Just another day coming to an end. But somewhere in the timeline of that ordinary afternoon, something had already been set in motion. Before Tatanisha even arrived home, someone had already been inside that apartment. Neighbors would later tell police the back door had been forced open, kicked in. Whoever did it didn't just enter and leave, they stayed. And while Tatanisha and her family were on their way home, that person was already inside the apartment on Cornell Avenue, waiting. Now here's where the story takes a turn that people still struggle to understand. Before Tatanisha reached the house that afternoon, her phone rang. It was her son calling. The conversation sounded normal. Nothing alarming about it. He mentioned there was someone on the back porch drinking alcohol. Just a quick heads up. The kind of thing a kid might say without thinking much about it. Tatanisha thanked him and continued driving. Home. Maybe she told Dave about the call. Maybe she was already thinking about checking the back porch when she arrived. Or maybe the moment passed like any other quick phone conversation. We don't know. What we do know is that Tatanisha eventually turned onto Cornell Avenue, pulled up near her home, and got out of the car. Her husband was with her. Their 7-year-old son was right there, too. From the outside, nothing about the house looked unusual. No warning signs, no reason to think anything was wrong. Tatanisha walked toward the front door. She reached for her keys, and the moment that followed would change that family forever. Neighbors later told investigators the next part happened fast. Tatanisha was standing at the front door, unlocking it. Her husband, Dave, was right behind her. Their 7-year-old son stood nearby. The door opened, and suddenly a gun was pointed directly at Tatanisha. Investigators say the person holding it was already inside the apartment. The shots came almost immediately. Gunfire erupted just feet away from her. Prosecutors would later say she was shot multiple times in the head and body at close range. Dave didn't hesitate. He grabbed their young son and ran.
Shot her 4 times in the head before escaping. The murder happening, neighbors say, right in front of Jackson's husband and their young son, who ran next door for help, while the victim was left clinging to life. Jackson later died at the hospital.
I'm hoping he can get through it. It's going to be hard.
And police have not identified the suspect who they are looking for tonight, but say they did recover a gun from the scene. We are live outside of the University of Chicago Medical Center. I'm Trey Ward, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Imagine that moment for a second. One parent trying to shield a child while chaos explodes behind them. Dave rushed away from the doorway carrying his son and called 911. While he was on the phone with the dispatcher, while he was trying to explain what had just happened. More gunshots echoed from inside the apartment. 5 more shots. Neighbors had already begun stepping outside. So everything was peaceful, and out of nowhere, shots let off. We hear like 8 shots. After we hit the 8 shots, I'm like, no, that one, no gunshots, and it was 6 more. People on the block were confused, stunned, trying to piece together what they were hearing. Meanwhile, inside the home, Tatanisha Jackson lay near the doorway. First responders arrived quickly after the 911 call. Police secured the area, and paramedics rushed Tatanisha to the University of Chicago Medical Center. But the injuries were severe. She did not survive. The Cook County medical examiner later ruled her death a homicide. Back inside the apartment, investigators began processing the crime scene. Evidence markers covered the floor near the doorway. 12 shell casings were recovered. A 9mm handgun was found at the scene. The pattern of the evidence suggested the shooting happened rapidly, with very little movement or struggle. It was direct, focused, and over in seconds. Meanwhile, outside, neighbors gathered along the street watching the police activity unfold. People were whispering to each other, trying to understand what had happened inside that apartment. And one question was already circulating. Who did this? Investigators didn't have to search far for a suspect. Surveillance cameras in the area showed a teenage boy leaving the residence through the back door. He moved down nearby streets before disappearing from view. Police quickly identified him, 17-year-old Davion Pryor, Tatanisha Jackson's son. Yeah, that's the moment when the story hit people like a shockwave. A son, his own mother. People hearing that detail were left saying the same thing. How does something like this even happen? Police began searching the area immediately. Officers issued alerts describing the suspect and warned that he could be armed. But the search wouldn't last long. because just hours after the shooting, something unexpected happened. At approximately 9:59 that evening, the front door of the 3rd District Police Station opened. A teenage boy walked inside. He told officers he knew they were looking for him. The boy was Davion Pryor. He surrendered without resistance. Police took him into custody. Investigators already knew pieces of his background before that day. Davion was 17 years old. Court records showed he had 2 pending juvenile cases, including aggravated battery and vehicular hijacking. In fact, just months earlier, he had been found guilty in the hijacking case. As part of those legal proceedings, he had been placed on electronic monitoring. An ankle bracelet tracked his movements. In theory, he was supposed to remain under supervision at home. But the system that monitored where he was couldn't tell investigators what was happening inside the apartment that afternoon. Family members also told the court Davion had been diagnosed with mental health issues in the past. He had been prescribed medication.
The community is still on edge after neighbors say a woman was shot and killed in her own apartment in front of her family. A family in mourning and a neighborhood in shock as people who live here struggle to understand the violence that claimed the life of Tatanisha Jackson.
I just can't even process it, unfortunately. It just seems so sad and scary.
The unexpected unfolded Thursday afternoon just before 4 p.m. in Chicago's South Shore neighborhood. Neighbors say shots rang out as Jackson returned home with her husband and son to their apartment located near 68th and Cornell. That's when investigators say a 17-year-old boy armed with a gun shot Jackson in the head 4 times before running away.
It was devastating. I'm going to be looking for her when I come out to sit on the back sometimes.
The wife and mother was rushed to a hospital where she died.
One man who works nearby tells me he heard over a dozen gunshots.
So everything was peaceful, and out of nowhere, shots let off. We hear like 8 shots. After we hit the 8 shots, I'm like, no, that wasn't no gunshots. And it was 6 more.
But according to statements made later in court, he rarely took it. Those details added another complicated layer to the case. 2 days after the shooting, Davion appeared before a Cook County judge. The courtroom was tense. Relatives from the family were present. Prosecutors laid out their account of what had happened on Cornell Avenue. The judge listened carefully. At one point, he described the case in simple terms. This is very sad and tragic to this court. He was referring to the reality that prosecutors had just described. A mother shot inside her own home, in front of her husband, in front of a young child. The judge ordered Davion held without bond while the case continued. He also ordered a mental health evaluation to better understand his condition. Meanwhile, outside the courtroom, the family left quietly. There are moments when words just don't seem to do anything. This was one of those moments. Tatanisha Jackson was 43 years old. She had spent years building a life around the people she loved, a marriage that lasted more than 2 decades, children she raised, a career she worked hard to achieve as a nurse. Neighbors still remember seeing her on that back porch, talking on her phone, greeting people as they passed by, and always ending conversations the same way. I love you. Now Dave Jackson is raising their youngest son in the aftermath of something no family expects to face, a moment that happened in seconds but left a lifetime of questions behind. And on the 6,800 block of South Cornell Avenue, neighbors still think about Tatisha when they sit outside in the evening. One of them said something simple that captures how loss lingers in a neighborhood. I'm be looking for her when I come out to sit on the back sometimes. Sometimes the quiet moments are the ones that remind people the most. The empty porch, the missing voice, and the memory of a woman who spent her life showing love to the people around her. Thank you for watching this episode of Gridline Crimes. If you found this story interesting, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new case. Your support helps us continue bringing you real crime stories, detailed investigations, and gripping cases from around the world. Let me know your thoughts about this case in the comments below. And remember, the truth always leaves a trail. See you in the next episode of Gridline Crimes.